very little, and even at that they'll be like, yeah, the food is really nice, but why am I feeling cold? What if you don't have your jacket? I'm sorry for you. I even called my mom. I'm like, do you know that these people don't have soup? These people don't do soup. Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Jamila. I'm a Nigerian and I'm living my best life in the beautiful city of Nairobi. So this video is long overdue. So I've been living in Kenya for a while, and here are some of the things that shocked me about living here. I can't believe I've not made a culture shock video, which is weird, but I'm going to tell you guys some of the things that surprised me about living here. I feel like a lot of Nigerians, I don't want to generalize, a lot of Nigerians prior to coming to Kenya just think that Kenya is just a country of long distance runners, that everybody knows how to run, the Kipchoges, the Rudishas, that Kenya is filled with long distance runners. That's about the only thing we know. Long distance runners, Maasai warriors, and then that this place is full of wildlife. That's just about it, but there's so much more to Kenya that we don't know. So I'm going to share with you guys some of it. Number one, Kenyans drive on the left hand side driving, and me coming from Nigeria that drives on the right, it was so shocking to me because I can't tell you how many times I've gone to sit in the driver's side thinking that that's where the passenger sits. It's a bit, it messes with your mind a bit. You don't know what side of the road you should be on. You're just running around. It takes some getting used to, but it's really shocking to see people sitting on the side that would be the passenger side in Nigeria, but it's the driver's side in Kenya. So that's number one. The left-hand drive, it threw me off a bit, but I mean, some countries drive on the left, so that's okay. Number two, you know how sometimes they tell you that it gets a bit cold in Ethiopia, in Kenya, in East Africa, some places get cold, and you're like, it's just a 6-hour flight away from Nigeria. How cold can it be? Fam, it gets cold. It gets cold by Nigerian standards here. It gets really cold. You're like, why am I feeling cold? What if you don't have your jacket? I'm sorry for you. Let me tell you a story. When I first moved, one of the things that really shocked me was that everybody was wearing sneakers, boots, and they hardly ever wore open-toed shoes. So I'm like, why don't you guys like open-toed shoes compared to Nigeria, where we wear also different variations of sandals, open-toed shoes, all those kind of things? It's the cold, fam. It's the cold. So I used to see like older women, like very old women, like your grandma, wearing sneakers. So it was very it was a bit weird to me because in Nigeria they wore their slippers, they wore their sandals, they wore all sorts of things. Well, yes, they are most likely going to wear sneakers. So I was like, why are you always wearing sneakers? Until one day I went out. I had a very long day. I went out. I spent all day at home, and I was wearing a pair of sandals. It got so cold that my toes felt like they didn't belong to me anymore. It was so cold. I stopped by, I bought a pair of boots by the side of the road just to protect my toes because it was so cold. It now made sense to me that, these people are wearing closed-toe shoes because they still want to be in possession of their toes. It gets really cold, especially in June, July, that time, it gets really cold in Kenya. So if you're coming, get your jackets because, don't even think that you are in the tropics. Except when you go to Mombasa and places like that, yeah, it gets warm. But Nairobi and its environment, it can be cold. Yet another shocking thing for me coming from Nigeria is the cost of living in this Nairobi. I don't know about other counties, but cost of living and rent, Jesus, it can be so expensive. Here, they also pay rent monthly, but in Nigeria, we pay annually. So I'm like, so I have to pay my rent monthly. Okay, cool. Then how much? It's insane. House rent is like here. It's like here. So in Nigeria, what you would need to survive, to pay for annual rent to be like what you need to pay for 3 months here in Kenya. So 3 months rent equals 1 year rent in Nigeria. So it's the apartments are expensive. They're expensive. Honestly, they're expensive. And even people that have lived in other parts of the world, they're like, yo, Nairobi rent is not for the faint-hearted. I mean, there are places, of course, there are different places you could live, but generally speaking, Nairobi rents can be really expensive. So prepare yourself. But to be fair, they have really good real estate. I like you could find all sorts of designs of really cool and trendy apartments, which sometimes you might not really get in some parts of Lagos or Abuja, but in Nairobi you can find really beautiful, state-of-the-art, everything complete apartments that are like to die for. So the real estate market in Nairobi, chef's kiss. I love it, but you have to pay through your nose for those apartments for sure. If you're an eco-friendly place, this place is wonderful. Like, I love how they've banned plastics, so we don't use plastic bags here in shops, grocery shopping, markets, all those places. Rather, you're offered bags made from sisal, from raffia, from cloth bags. Almost everybody has their own fabric bag for shopping and things like that, and bags made from, I'll post a picture of this, the kind of bags that we use here. So coming from Nigeria, where, hey, I feel like we are obsessed with plastics. You buy food, they cover it in plastic. You buy kunu, it's given to you in a plastic bottle. You buy this plastic. But here they've been able to ban it. So even finding those plastics that you use to make more in Nigeria is very difficult here. It's as if you want to buy cocaine because it's not allowed. So if you go to a grocery shop here, you have to carry your own bag, or you have to buy another one there. So by the time you buy, how many times you receive sense, you'll be like, oh, okay, I need to carry my own bags. So coming here, the first couple of times that I went grocery shopping, I didn't come with a bag. So the cashier will be looking at me, I'll also be looking at them, because they're like, bag? You didn't come with your bag? Okay, you have to buy our own bag. So with time, you start carrying your own bags. I never liked the obsession with plastics in Nigeria. I hated it, but coming here, it made me really happy. And honestly, I'm so proud of Kenyans for doing that. It's such a nice initiative, and it's helpful to the environment. The city is a bit cleaner because you don't have to deal with as many plastic bags as you would have if they were using plastics for everything. And they also don't do pure water, so you don't see pure water sachets littered everywhere. So they only do bottled water, and then they don't do plastic bags. So can you imagine how much cleaner the city would be? So I'm honestly, I'm very proud of you guys, Kenyans, for the ban on plastics. I know it was not easy, but I'm so proud of you. And then most things that would be packaged in plastics are packaged in these small paper bags like flour and some other things. I'm not saying that everything is devoid of plastics, but you can see the effort that is being made to keep plastics on the low. So yes, I'll say it again, I'm really proud of you guys, Kenya. Chef's kiss. I hope we Nigerians can learn from that. Honestly, I feel like we need to ban the living daylight out of plastics in Nigeria. So yes, thumbs up to Kenya for that. Then if you're a lover of fruits, this is fruit lovers paradise. There are fruits everywhere, and they are so cheap. When I first moved here, listen, you know that combination of fruits, it should be a fruit salad, but in Kenya it's called pudding. I ate that pudding like my life depended on it. I ate it every day pudding, because it was cheap. You could get a bowl of pudding for 50 bob, for 100 bob, and there would be papaya in it, there would be bananas, there would be fresh creamy avocado, there would be pineapples, there would be everything, and then you see that shaving of beetroot on top. Paradise. I love it. So in Kenya, fruits are really cheap and affordable. They eat it with everything. I mean, they serve you a plate of githeri and then they cut some avocado and put on top. I love it here. What number are we on? Number 5. Another thing that shocks me is that, you know how in Nigeria, like, the variety of food is endless, is limitless. Like, soups as far as your arms can stretch. There's okra soup, there's egusi soup, there's ogbono, there's oha, there's this, there's that, there's fisherman's, there's all sorts of soup. But in Kenya, that's not the way they eat their own cornmeal, which is ugali. Ugali is eaten with sauteed veggies or some other beef stew. But in Nigeria, we cook soups, and then we cook the tomato stew that we know. But here, they don't do soups. Which is wild to me as a Nigerian. They don't do soups, and they don't do our normal tomato stew for rice. For rice here, boiled white rice, they eat it with sometimes they eat it with a combination of peas and Irish potatoes. I'm like, how is that a good lubricant for rice? But everyone is different. They enjoy it that way, and then they enjoy the beef stew. They just cut up some beef and just make a small medley. But in Nigeria, we do soups, we do stews, there's so much to do from different parts of Nigeria, but it's not the same here at all. It was really shocking to me. I was like, I even called my mom. I'm like, do you know that these people don't have soup? These people don't do soup. She was like, nah, it's not true. Another thing that was shocking to me is that they do a lot of liquid milk here, liquid fresh milk. For a Nigerian, I think because of our epileptic power supply and other things, we're used to powdered milk. But here it's mostly liquid milk. You can also go to a grocery store. Most grocery stores have milk dispensing machines, so you can buy your milk per liter there. In Nigeria, even though liquid milk is available, it's almost always sold in those tetra packs. But here you can buy those tetra packs. You can also buy the sachets, and you can also buy from the milk dispensing containers. And then if you go to some rural places, they sell it the way they sell kerosene sometimes in Nigeria. You just come with your cup, they pour it for you, maybe a cup for 50 bob or something like that. But if you buy it from the grocery store, from the milk dispensing machine, they sell per liter, so you can buy a plastic container there and they put it for you. Another thing that shocked me about Kenya is that there's a good number of Indians or people of Indian descent that live here in Kenya. As someone told me that they came here during the 19th century or so, when they came to work for the railway, and then they settled with their families and things like that. They are Kenyans of Indian descent. I think that's the best way to describe them. But because they hardly intermarry with the black Kenyans, they've been able to preserve their bloodline. So you just see them, they look Indian, but they're Kenyan. They've lived all their lives here. They're like generations and generations have always been in Kenya. They have a Kenyan passport and all that. So there's a good number of Indian Kenyans, like I like to call them. In Nigeria, we have Lebanese like that have been in Nigeria all their lives. I'll refer to them as Nigerians of Lebanese ancestry. I think that's the best way to describe it. Because of that, there is a sizable number of Hindus, Sikhs, and then celebrating Diwali is a thing here in Kenya as well. So anytime it's Diwali, there is fireworks and everything. I love it. There are some temples here, beautiful, stunning temples for worship and things like that. I didn't know that there were people like that here in Kenya, so it's good to know. And because Kenya is also very welcoming, there are a lot of foreigners that call this place home. Foreigners from every part of the world. Basically, there are Koreans here, there are Thai people, there are Vietnamese, there are Caucasians, there are people from all sorts of places that have settled here. They have businesses here, they now live here. There's a sizable, whatever country you're thinking about, they have a sizable community here. I've even met Sri Lankans here as well. So you meet people from all sorts of places. I mean, you also meet people from all sorts of places in Nigeria, but because this place is like a very wonderful holiday destination, you find people from all sorts of places that now call Kenya home, because it's welcoming, the weather is good. It's honestly, I think it's a lovely place to live, so I'm not surprised that a lot of foreigners live here. Another thing that shocks me to my bone marrow is that Kenyans don't do spice. They don't do pepper. They don't do pepper the way we do pepper. So I love to cook and I love to share my food with people, but anytime I give Kenyans food, they are convinced I'm trying to kill them because it's so spicy to them. They can't stand pepper at all. They can eat it just very little, like you have to put very little, and even at that they'll be like, yeah, the food is really nice, but the pepper is too much. But it's so funny to me because what I would consider not spicy is still spicy to them. So if you want to serve them food, don't even put pepper at all. If you want them to enjoy it, don't put pepper, because they don't do pepper at all. It's not like us Nigerians. There is pepper soup, there is pepper this, there is suya, there is this. We always add a healthy dose of pepper to everything. Some of my Kenyan friends are convinced that I add pepper to tea. Well, it's not true. To each their own. We've come to the end of this video. If there's any other thing I remember, I'll do a part 2. But thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, join the Jammy Desk Squad, please. Asante ni sana. That is the end of my video. Like I said, I only knew Sauti so. Yashamakika haya zoleki ayo. Nenda lote mama. Nenda lote mama penzi. Unaenda kiliku enzi. Kinoma noma. Yashamakika haya zoleki ayo. Nenda lote mama.